What's up, everybody, and welcome to my Summerslam Night 1 review. Going in solo today. Maybe Night 2 will be a joint review, but right now I'm going to be taking on Night 1 by myself. Now, I almost didn't even know what time the show even started, to be honest, because actually I kind of went to the store earlier, and by the time I came back, the first match was already starting, so I already kind of missed the entrances. Didn't really miss much, I guess I should say, when turning the show on, because over here it started like about 5 o'clock, so whatever they had going on with Cardi B, okay, I'm glad I missed that, so I know I didn't miss much, and I guess they really kept her to a very minimal on this show. I think she was at the beginning and maybe showed up later in the crowd in another match. So, hey, I'm glad we did not get a lot of Cardi B. Honestly, I didn't even remember she was even hosting this show. I kind of forgot. It's almost like, yeah, they hyped her up, but like, did they even really tell you much about her still hosting the show? Because I forgot she was supposed to be part of this show. But getting past that, we did kick it off with the first match of the night. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus B&B Security of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Paul Heyman was out there with him. Paul Heyman even still bringing in Roman Reigns' shoes, which, they stole Roman Reigns' shoes last Monday on Raw. Bronson Reed took them off after Braun speared Jey through the barricade. Do I have much to say about this match? I thought it was a good opener. Obviously, you got Roman out there, which did I kind of expect him to be later in the night? Maybe, but I'm like, okay, it's a tag match, and given Roman just came back like what 3 weeks ago, I think. I kind of figured he'd be in this spot, but like I said, this wasn't a bad tag match. The biggest spots I could probably name out of this match was what Bronson Reed doing a big suicide dive to the outside of the ring, especially a man of his size, is just insane, honestly, and it looked crazy. So that was big. Roman even doing his what was it, his big dive, which, by the way, he looked like he overshot his dive. Like, if you know Roman Reigns, when he jumps over ropes, going off the ropes, going to the outside, like, he went over it, but he damn near basically did a front flip and almost kind of looked like he hit his head, but I think he tucked in well enough to where he protected himself. But crazy spot right there. As the match went on, I know I did like one of the hot tag spots of what Jey trying to dive towards the corner, but Braun ended up taking him down from behind, and Reed pulling the reins off the apron at the same time, which is pretty cool if you look at the timing of it and stuff. But right after, I know Reigns was going back after Breaker, hitting with a Superman punch. Reed, I guess, was able to get in and do a senton on him right after, basically taking on Roman after that. Jey come back with super kicks. Like I said, it's kind of getting crazy all over the place to some extent. Breaker, even doing his big, when he jumps off the apron onto, like, going over the announce table, he basically jumped onto the reins, doing that leaping clothesline, which still looks crazy. Reed picked up Jey, and which, by the way, I think they did like the Steiner's finisher, if I'm not mistaken. Reed put him in like to the whole Doomsday device, but the electric chair, and then Braun him, backwards with the big bulldog. So like, if you know the Steiner brothers, you know that finisher they got. I can't believe I'm kind of slipping the name right now, but Breaker was back on the ground. He ran towards Reigns, trying to go for a spear. Reigns hit him with a Superman punch, and Reigns ended up spearing Breaker through the barricade. By the time Keepers fans started to chant, "This is awesome." Reed, he was getting ready to do his finisher, but Reigns ended up stopping him with the Superman punch. They ended up hitting like a 1D onto Bronson Reed, which looked crazy, by the way. Almost looked like they couldn't even get him up, but they did. Breaker got back in and started beating up both Reigns and Jey. Start talking a whole bunch of trash then, beating him up. He ended up pulling down the strap then to the singlet, getting ready to go back after them again. But Breaker, he set up for the spear, was going basically going for Jey, but Reigns ended up pushing Jey out the way, sacrificing himself for his cousin. He ended up going to the ground, so he took the spear. Jey ended up hitting like the super kick on the Breaker, and then he hit a spear on Bronson Reed, and then hit the Uso splash for the win. So it was, like I said, it was a really, really, really good opener to kick off the show. Definitely enjoyed it. A good match. I figured Reigns and Jey was going to win anyways, given what happened last Monday. Like, it would have been more surprising if, Breaker and Reed went over to B&B Security, but you kind of knew Reigns and Jey was winning this. Like, you really knew. Come on, it kind of was easy to tell. Like, they got beat up last Monday, and I'm be honest, if they probably didn't win this match, Rikishi probably would have gotten on the internet and complained about this. If you, Rikishi, man, I don't know what to say with him right now. It's like he's got a lot to say every other time, but I feel like if they lost this match, he probably would have went on a gasket with Reigns and Jay here. Then again, I don't even think he wanted Reigns to be in a tag match to begin with. But yeah, Reigns and Jay open the show, so good opener. And this is to me where the show kind of, because let me be honest before we continue this. Night one was not really good. It wasn't. Let's be honest. Like, when it comes to SummerSlam being 2 nights, I'd rather have kept SummerSlam 1 night. I understand WrestleMania being 2, but I guess since they tried to stack the card so much, and let me be honest, there wasn't even really a lot of build going on in SummerSlam. Like, it's a lot of matches on the show if it's, Sunday and everything, but how much build was really in a lot of these matches? And you can really tell by even just going through tonight's show and watch for Sunday, it's like, how much build was really put in the thought of this, and it just looked like, okay, how much tickets can we sell because it's SummerSlam, which, by the way, I was actually surprised even SummerSlam even had a bigger stage. Some believe because that they had to tarp off some of the arena and they didn't sell enough tickets. Like, they still sold a lot of tickets, but I don't know, how many tickets, because you don't never even see WWE stages look that big anymore. Like, you really know, most of the time they're just really small. But as they went through the show, the next match was the women's tag team titles on the line. Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez versus Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, or I would like to say the Woo Woman and Squirrel 1 versus Squirrel 2 and insert Judgment Day member number whatever over here. Like, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of already halfway paying attention to this match. The crowd was very dead for a bulk of this match. Like, they really were. But then again, when you're kind of following after Reigns, I'm not surprised the crowd died. And I'm going to be honest, too. Some of these matches I'm actually surprised made it to this pay-per-view. Like, I really am. And it's like, the match was going. It's like I was watching, but I just wasn't really paying that much attention. And then, like, the story to this is, can Charlotte and Bliss coexist? They're the oddball team, which, let's be honest, this team has worked well for Charlotte especially, because no one ever really cheers Charlotte anymore. So this is the first time I can say, like, especially back at Evolution when she got a big pop, her and Bliss, people do love this team. So, give Bliss one thing, she helped Charlotte get cheered. But, like, throughout the match, like I say, it wasn't bad. Obviously, how can I say this? Because, Rox definitely killed it out here, too. I'm sure anybody's going to say that. Because going towards the finish, I know, was it Bliss? She, accidentally ended up hitting, Charlotte at one point. Because I think she was trying to go for a finisher or something and accidentally hit her. And then Rox came back at Bliss. She'd have been like the pop rocks onto Bliss then, if I'm not mistaken. Then Bliss was able to come out with a blockbuster or something, because basically it was like a whole crazy pin sequence right here. And Bliss was setting up for Sister Abigail, and then Charlotte kind of looked at it like she was going to take her out, trying to get a lick back. But Charlotte ended up charging at Raquel with a big boot, and Bliss hit the finisher and pinned Rox out there. So I'm not really surprised by this. They want to keep this team going. I guess I heard that Charlotte had told Creative, like, no, let's keep this going. Like, no, do not kill this team right now. It's working. We don't want to have me turn on her already. So let's keep rolling this train for a while until, something else happens. But like I said, the match got better later on, but I just was not, like, paying attention. You can tell by the crowd that they did not care either. I know they had some Papa John's, whatever, pizza thing going on, so that was something. I didn't even know what's going on. Some comedy skit. Sami Zayn versus Cross. Excuse me. But I am actually surprised this match even made the pay-per-view. And this wasn't really even a good match. I talked about this with several people that throughout this show, and it's like, it was literally whatever. Like, the only really story I guess you got was Cross trying to use the pipe, and, Scarlett getting involved, and see if Sammy was going to turn. Like, will he turn back? Because most of the time, Cross kept telling Sammy, say it, Sammy, and he wouldn't say it. Dude, why wasn't this match on Raw? And his thing, I knew this was going to be on SummerSlam. I did. But this match just wasn't all that. A lot of people tell you that Sammy carried this whole match. Because I was talking to one of my friends, and even they said, like, Cross was damn near about to fall through, like, the first few, like, minute of the match. Like, you can go kind of back and look. He was kind of stumbling out there. Like, I'll say this. I give Cross credit for getting himself over and everything. Like, it has worked for him because he did it on his own. Like, I will say that. But, like, here on this show, this just was not really good. It wasn't. It looked like Sammy kind of mostly did everything. And how can else I can explain this? It's kind of like, even with the fan reaction out there to this match, you can tell that a lot of people did not care. They just didn't. Even with the cheating spots they tried to do out there. Because, like I said, the whole throwing in the pipe thing, which, by the way, the fact that here's the thing, you knew Sammy was kind of going to win this. Now, it would have been more surprising if Cross won, but given that they did this match on Raw, like, what, a week or two ago, and Cross had to cheat to beat a 50% Sami Zayn who had his ribs already taped up, but now he was not going to be able to beat a 100% Sami Zayn. Like I said, this match could have just been on Raw. Like, you didn't really miss much from here. It was like, what, 8 minutes anyways, but, oh, Sammy, he's conflicted. Will he use the pipe? He didn't use the pipe. He threw it on the ground. Cross tried to roll him up. And a lot of people even point out, Cross damn near kind of somewhat tripped there. A lot of people was pointing that out. And then Sammy hit the exploder and then hit the haluva kick and was over. So, I don't really know what's next for Cross from here. I really don't. I know people's been talking about his contract coming up soon. So, either he will get released or he will sign a new one. Given how he's gotten himself over, I don't think he will be going anywhere, but I'm kind of hoping this stuff with him and Sammy is over, because it's like, are they going to even continue this on Raw, like, or however this was going to go, because, you know, since Sammy won, I guess Cross was wrong, and Cross wasn't right here, so now he has to admit it, like, I don't know, like, this is a match where, once again, I'm surprised it even made the pay-per-view, but I guess given how Cross got himself over, I guess that's why, but not much to, like I said, this wasn't even really a good match. It was literally whatever, and Sammy was not really going to turn anyway. So this match happened. It happened. So there you go. Right after that, I know Cole and Barrett basically still acknowledged, fortunate and timely death of Hulk Hogan. They basically talked about the fan attendance and how Hogan was undefeated at SummerSlam. And I know they showed his son in the crowd. And, fans with gear on, the NWO gear, and, I think they play, like, Real American, and, they went on to the next segment, so, yeah, once again, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Right after that, Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill for the, Women's Championship, and this was probably the shortest match of the night, which, once again, you really kind of go into a lot of these matches, it's not a lot of build, and I don't think they trust Jade out there really that long anyways with long matches, which I know everybody's going to point out, well, Jade is still green, but I'm sure some people are going to wonder how long is that going to keep going, because, listen, they obviously have a lot invested in the Jade, and they really want Jade to be that great. Going into this, did I think Jade was going to win? I would have thought that, given, she had the whole Queen of the Ring thing, she won the tournament and stuff, and it's like, okay, she's already beaten Naomi, so she's moved on. So this ought to have been a straight shot to actually go for the title. But did they really build that much on SmackDown? Like, they did a little, but was it really a lot when going into this match? And once again, this match had to be like, 7 minutes? Like, I was actually surprised how short this was. It wasn't even really that bad. Like, it wasn't a bad match. I know, what was it? Stratton him going for a dive to the outside. Even threw her back in. She had a big swanton bomb that looked pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie. Like, the swanton that Tiffany hit was pretty cool. It was still a 1 count. I know Jay came back with a big power bomb. They called it the Eye of the Storm and stuff. Was it Tiffany tried to hit hit a rolling senton right after. Jade had stopped her then. Tiffany ended up going for her moonsault, but Jade put her feet up, basically hitting Tiffany in the face, which was pretty cool, I gotta say that too. And then Jade ended up hitting her finisher, but she went for a big cover, but it's like she pulled Tiffany all the way to the ropes, like all the way to the middle rope. Like, she was like near the ropes when she did the finisher, but it's almost like she had to pull her leg so far to make sure they hit the rope because I think she was already kind of off position from it. So she had to almost like not drag all the way, but really pull her leg to make sure they hit the ropes then, which stopped the count. Jade hit a choke slam onto Tiffany and then threw her in the corner of the ring. And then she was going to set her up for a Jaded off the top rope, but Tiffany was able to stop her and knock her off, send Jade to the ground, and then end up hitting her the prettiest moonsault ever, and won the match. So that was kind of it. I was actually, honestly, why wasn't this match on SmackDown then? Which, once again, is bringing me back to my point. A lot of these matches could have just been on Raw or SmackDown. Because this was just, I was just surprised how quick this was. But then again, it's a lack of build, too, when it comes to a lot of these matches. So, I don't know. Did I think Jade was really going to win? Yeah, I kind of thought in some sort of way. But no, Tiffany went over clean, and that was it. And, I think my friend Shaggy even said she liked the first, person in recent time with the whole Queen, King of the Ring thing and lose. I think so. I really think so. So yeah, they still continuing for Tiffany. They're still on the Tiffany train. WWE. So they do not want to move on to Jade yet. What happens next? I don't know. Will they probably turn a heel? Maybe. I have no clue. But very surprised how quick this went, and I kind of thought Tiffany was gonna win it. Not Tiffany. I mean Jade was gonna win it here. But yeah, that's kind of it for the women's title. But moving on after that, I guess you could say this was the celebrity match of the night. And it was Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. I'm going to be honest, when I watched this match, I had really no care going into this. I didn't really want to see this match. I'd rather see Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre do something bigger on SummerSlam than be involved in this. Like I said, to give Logan Paul to his credit, you can't deny what he does in the ring and whatnot. So it's like, yeah, I may not really want to see him in general, but it's like the man does do some pretty cool spots, and like a lot of people said, he just gets it. Jelly Roll, let's be honest, they made him look as competent as they could, okay? And I'm sure a lot of people can tell you that Jelly Roll was not ready because given some of the moves he did not look good, and that was just on everybody just, making this look good to really make him look competent. And, Jelly Roll came out and had people sing Orton's theme song. Gotta get Jelly Roll, I gotta say, he took, I wouldn't say he took a beating out here, but he was taking some chops out there. They were really laying it in because I was surprised he was first in the match. Like, Drew and Logan Paul were really hitting him out there. I had a friend tell me that he felt like this match was really to prove that Logan Paul can, I don't know, he explained it to me, but almost like that he could belong or he could make something like this look good. Saying it's like almost like a test, like, can you go out there and make Jelly Roll look good in all of this? And I think that was kind of, some say, the purpose of this match that he explained to me. Because I'm going to be honest, once again, when I watched this match, I already was like not wanting to pay attention, given what was going on here. But like I said, the heels were really laying in on Jelly Roll, taking him out. What was it? I know Drew ended up grabbing Jelly Roll in the throat, punching him several times, throwing him to the ground. Logan Paul even doing like a leg drop on him, or looked like a split leg drop, honestly. But I know he did the whole ear cup thing and did it. They still ended up roughing up Jelly Roll. Fans was chanting for Orton throughout this match. Jelly Roll was able to toss Drew over the top rope, and then he went for the hot tag. Orton came in, does his moves, hit the power slam, does the draping DDT on Drew, setting up for the RKO, but Logan Paul ended up pulling McIntyre so he didn't get hit with RKO. Orton got out of there, kicked Logan Paul, threw him onto the Spanish announce table, and Drew hit him with the backdrop onto there, which is crazy. Onto the table, Drew ended up taking out Orton with a Claymore then, as Jelly Roll tried to check on Randy Orton. Jelly Roll was left on his own, so he basically had to kind of fight on his own then after that. And once he kind of looked around, what was it? Yeah, Logan Paul ended up hitting Jelly Roll from behind, and he did the big knockout punch on him. So then they cleared the announce table, and this is probably the biggest spot out of this whole match. Okay, like this is the biggest spot here. Is that he put Jelly Roll on the table, positioned him well enough, and you can see Jelly Roll trying to put his arms in and make sure he wasn't going to get hurt all the way when doing this. But Logan Paul got to the top rope, which obviously looks like every Logan Paul match that happens on pay-per-view is that he has to go to the top rope and get ready to do some giant dive, Shane McMahon style up there, and he put some sunglasses on, and he had his prime drinks, and he kind of drank it like he was stone cold, and then he just jumped off the announce table, landed on the Jelly Roll. Hell of a bump, gotta say that. Like, that was a crazy-ass bump, and he got some major flight there. But yeah, even going after the whole big, crazy bump on the whole broadcast table, like I said, it was pretty crazy and whatnot, which they had to send out the EMTs, didn't even carry Jelly Roll up out of there. Because then Drew and Logan just start going back after Orton, and while the EMTs, they trying to help Jelly Roll to his feet and stuff, just continuing on. Like, Jelly Roll just kind of almost like he tried to find the strength just to even get back up to even go help Orton in. Because at first he was just dropping, they were trying to carry him out, but he got back in the ring somehow, got the tag on, trying to get the tag for Orton and everything because he kept getting cut off. But Orton was able to fight back still. Jelly Roll at a turn, and he saw just, Orton was in trouble, but he got back up. He even came back, did a choke slam on Logan Paul, which was pretty good, I'll say that. That Black Hole Slam was just, even when I saw that Black Hole Slam on SmackDown, like, that's all Logan Paul or either Drew just making it look good. And it, like, Logan Paul then went to the ropes then after, and he had Jelly Roll try to climb up, and even, what was it? Jelly Roll did like a big power slam, which, once again, obviously it's all Logan Paul making it look good, so I'll say that. And when he got the pin, Drew had broke it up. He off it with a Claymore kick. Orton ended up taking out Drew with an RKO. Logan Paul ended up taking out Randy Orton, throwing him to the ring post. And then, Logan Paul did a big frog splash and won the match. So, I will say this about this match. Some people I knew did not watch it because they did not care for this, and I don't really blame them. I will give Jelly Roll credit. He did more than Travis Scott, and I'm sure anybody's gonna say that because Travis Scott has become public enemy #1 around in WWE for many reasons now, and for a lot of, honestly, for real good reason given the stuff I've heard. So he's public enemy #1 to them nowadays. But Jelly Roll, yeah. He still wasn't really good, but he did more than I expected. Okay, listen, everybody's not going to be Bad Bunny when they keep bringing celebrities. I think a lot of people want to bring the template. And I would say Logan Paul, too, but Logan Paul is just literally part of the roster at this point. So I can't even say he's like even a celebrity wrestler because he's just part of the show. Yeah, it's a YouTube dude at the end of the day, but, I still got to go back to what Kenny Omega said, soon enough, what did he say? We're going to get Mr. Beast versus I Show Speed at WrestleMania or something. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure people are going to talk about numbers and, get celebrities to come. But how many people really want to keep seeing these matches, though, at the same time? Like I said, I'd rather see Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre do something else. And also, they kind of need to give Logan Paul a win because every Logan Paul match I feel like I've seen lately, he is either just taking the pinfall or even if he's in a tag team, he just lost. So it's been kind of... He's taken a lot of L's lately. So, okay, he pinned Jelly Roll. So, it's like what I explained earlier. My friend was telling me that it was like a test for Logan Paul to try to make this look good. And yeah, like if you watched it, you can admit it was pretty entertaining. I will say that I didn't care much for it going into it. And it was what it was. Did I think the faces were going to go over? Yeah. But then I thought about it. Yeah, Logan Paul, he needed to win after a while. So, I'm not really too surprised then. But in the main event, we got CM Punk versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, this was the best match out of this whole... This was the best thing out of this whole show. Punk coming out with the Fantastic Four gear was pretty cool, given like it's the new movie that just... the new movie just came out last week, so I did like the gear. He does this clobbering time. Let me say this, because, listen, this was a pretty, long match. It was, wow, I think it was, 30 minutes. But listen... If you really want to see a technical style Bret Hart match right here, this was the match to watch, okay? This match was excellent. I'm sure a lot of people don't like that style of wrestling and whatnot. Some people feel like it may have went too long or pretty slow or just, maybe not as spotty, maybe, but just like they're moving at a slow pace. But it's like you can tell like the pace they're going, like it's a technical match here. And given, Bret, not Bret, but yeah, Punk really, does a lot from Bret Hart. That's basically what he put into this match. I will say Gunther was beating the hell out of CM Punk through like damn near 70% of this match. He was chopping the shit out of CM Punk, okay? He was beating this man down throughout a lot of the match. I know Punk was still kind of fighting from underneath, even throwing kicks at Gunther's legs and stuff, trying to take him down for sharpshooters, which there was a lot of sharpshooters in this match, but Punk and Gunther just kept reversing it, which I did like how Punk did reverse the sharpshooter from Gunther to put him into his own sharpshooter, which was really good. But, they got to the ropes and broke the hold. And, Punk, taking Gunther back down, I think it was like a big net break. I know that was pretty crazy. But, as the match just kept going on, like I said, it was a pretty long match, but I did like, Gunther still trying to go for the sleeper hold and Punk trying to fight another way out of there, even him with like a Russian leg sweep just to get himself out. Even, Punk trying to still go for the big elbow drop, but Gunther ended up getting up and chopped the shit out of him then. Gunther, even just putting Punk to the mat, doing a big splash on him, which was still a 2 count. Like I said, it was a lot of Gunther just beating the hell out of him. Like, points of time to you that Punk was literally getting killed out there. But, Gunther tried to charge at him. Punk went for a GTS, but Gunther got out of it. He power bombed him. He told Punk to get back up. Once he got back up, he hit the big drop kick on him then right after him. Did another power bomb, still for a 2 count. And then Gunther, he threw Punk to the outside of the ring then. Looked at the title like, I'm the best in the world. I'm the best in the world. And then Gunther climbed onto the table then, just jawing the crowd and stuff. Punk ended up tripping Gunther to the, off the table onto it. And you could tell that it was probably going to be a blade job here because, that camera was focused on Punk for almost like a minute or two. And then Gunther got back up just bleeding from his head. There was blood everywhere. He was like confused. Like he's still fighting out there, but it's like he's disoriented. He doesn't know what to do. Punk ended up, he saw the blood. It's like he saw blood in the water like a shark. He went for Gunther then, even with the Macho Man L drop, obviously, and stuff. Tried to go for his finisher, but Gunther still put him with the sleeper in. But Punk was able to get back up on his feet right after. He hit the GTS, but Gunther was like, he sold the hell out of that GTS because he hit it and then just stole, like just wobbling and standing and just like still on his feet. Punk picked him up one more time, hit another GTS on him, and got the 3 count. So CM Punk became the new World Heavyweight Champion here. Like I said, this was the best, and I'm going to get to the next part in a second, but this was the best match out of the night. If you want to see a technical style wrestling match right here, this is the match you need to watch. I'm sure some people, like I said, a lot of people are not going to like this style of match, but I enjoyed this. This was great. Okay, very old school, pace of match here. Not going too fast and everything. Yeah, it probably looked a little bit slow, but that's the pacing of this match and what they were going for. So, if you've seen anything like a Bret Hart match or something, this was the match for you to watch, especially if you like that type of style of wrestling. But yeah, after CM Punk won, obviously Seth Rollins' music was gonna hit. And Seth Rollins came out with Paul Heyman on crutches because, the whole leg injury and stuff, or that happened back at Saturday night's main event. And then, Rollins was just there playing mind games, but then he turned around and was going to leave, but then he took off the leg brace and the crutches and ran to the ring ready to cash in the Money in the Bank. Let's be honest. I think we all knew this was a work with Seth Rollins. And I have to give Straight Face 40, and I'm sure, I know other people on the internet already knew, but Straight Face 40 himself, he already kind of knew it was a work the whole time. Because, the minute they said that on Raw a few weeks ago that, well, Seth Rollins can keep his Money in the Bank even though he's injured and stuff. So, ain't no telling when he'll come back. But we get to keep it warm, which then again, he gets to keep the case for a year anyways. And then when I heard about him on the Rich Eisen show saying, like, well, my leg's bruised, we couldn't get the MRI out all the way. So, I kind of knew it was already a work a while ago, so that wasn't too surprised. I know WWE tried to think they could swerve everybody with this, but I think everybody kind of knew what Triple H was doing, and just like, yeah, we already kind of knew it was a work, so this was already expected to happen, because even though my friend Gerard said, that Rollins was going to do anything to make sure Punk never got a championship. Even though he did win the title for like 5 minutes, but like I said, Seth Rollins came out, he brawled with Punk, and then he started beating, Punk tried to go for the GTS, but Rollins ended up taking the briefcase and beating the hell out of Punk with it just several times, just smashing him in the head with it and stuff. And then he ended up cashing it in. He hit the curb stomp and won the match. So this was not much of a surprise. I'll tell you this right now, though. This was obviously not better than the cash in WrestleMania 31. This was still a big pop, but anybody that sit there to tell you that this was better than the WrestleMania 31 cash in with Seth, you're insane. Okay, you can't say it was that great. It was big, but it's not better than that one. But then right after, Rollins stood up with the title belt, and then B&B Security just came out and joined the celebration and all that stuff. So yeah, all the heels just put up their arms, and the pyro went off, and that was the end of the show. Which I think it ended maybe about 8 or 8:30. I will say this: the show did kind of breeze by, but given the matches I saw, it wasn't really a lot. Like I said, this here tonight, the main event was the only pay-per-view quality thing that really happened on this show that made you actually feel like it was like Summerslam, and this was a Summerslam big main event. Everything else in this show felt like it could have been on Raw and SmackDown. This was the best thing. Like, night one was not all that. Obviously, they saved all the bigger matches for night two, because it's like WrestleMania night one sometimes. It's like, we'll put the stuff that's kind of weaker on there, but night two is probably going to put all your good shit on there. And that's basically what they did, because they got the TLC match for Sunday, and obviously the street fight, and basically I think everything is a title match on Sunday. Was the Intercontinental title, the Women's Intercontinental title, like I already said, TLC, the triple threat match for the women's title. So yeah, it's like they put the bigger matches on for night two. Night one, like I said, other than the main event, this show wasn't really all that. Okay, when you really look at it and just look at the matches from here, it just wasn't. Listen, I thought the tag match at the beginning of the show was really good with Roman and them. Like I said, I think Roman was going. Like I said, Roman was great out there. Even Braun Breaker. So I was like, the tag match was enjoyable. Like, you already knew who was gonna win, but come on, it was like I said, it was still a good tag. But come on now, like, what did I really expect from here? So it was a good opener, but the women's tag match was literally kind of whatever, but it got better in the end, and I think a lot of people knew that Charlotte and Bliss was gonna win from there. Cross and Sammy just was not good. It really wasn't. Like, let's be honest, that's probably the worst match on this show. That may be the worst match on this show, was Cross and Sammy. And I feel like Sammy kind of carried a lot of it. And I know a lot of people are going back to the rumors. Was it back last month in Saudi Arabia saying, like, Cross doesn't want to take bumps or something? Like, I don't know how true that was. And I think he proved it back at Saudi. He was taking bumps. But I know that's probably going to get brought up a lot again now. But that match just was not good, okay? And I'm kind of hoping they really move on from this after what I saw. So, which, once again, this brings me back to my point from earlier. A lot of these matches felt like they could have just been on Raw and SmackDown. And I think the other problem with going into SummerSlam is that there wasn't a lot of build to these matches. Even for Sunday, it wasn't a lot of build to some of those matches. So, yeah, it's like a lot of these matches either happened at the last second, or if they were already made, they didn't really put a lot of thought going into this. And I know it's sometimes, even with AEW, where it's like the build sucks and then the pay-per-view ends up being really good and stuff, but sometimes it can still go the opposite of the same, of just bad and bad. Tiffany and Jade, like I said earlier, I was actually surprised Jade lost here, but maybe they want to wait for her to win the Royal Rumble and then win the title at WrestleMania, if that's the case. Because obviously they still want to continue with Tiffany, so I don't know what's next for either of these women, but I guess we'll see what happens. I was just more surprised that the match was that short, and I guess I'm sure this is going to come up a lot, but I guess Triple H is still not beating those allegations, so I'm sure a lot of people are going to be saying that now after watching the women's title match. Jelly Roll and Orton versus Logan and Drew. Like, hey, if you liked it, you liked it. You didn't, you didn't. I'll admit it did get entertaining later on, and give Jelly Roll credit. He was doing a lot out there. He did I would say he was taking a beating, but he was taking in some chops, and him doing that bump with the table and everything was still pretty crazy, with Logan Paul jumping off high and stuff. So Like I said, I thought it got entertaining later on, but once again, I just never really had a lot of care going into this match. I didn't. So, like I said, the main event was the best thing of this entire show. I'm sure some people are gonna go like, "Oh, Seth's the champion again" and all that, but it's gonna be Punk and Seth soon enough. Like, this has been going on forever. I'm almost surprised Roman Reigns and them didn't try to come out there, because let's remember, Reigns did get screwed over by Seth to begin with, and he took his wise man and all that stuff. So, but then again, come on, why would Roman and Jay really come out? Well, maybe Jay, but why would Roman Reigns really go out there and help CM Punk? But I'm sure Roman is still going to go after Seth soon enough, and hell, they're probably going to be facing for the World Heavyweight title soon. So that's probably going to be the case from there. And I'm sure Drew McIntyre will be laughing and having a great time in the back after seeing CM Punk lose and getting cashed in on. So I'm sure he had a fun time watching that. So I could imagine that. Maybe LA Knight will come back now, because he just kind of disappeared from this whole thing after beating Seth, and then he lost that Raw and that Gauntlet, and we never really saw LA Knight after really again. So maybe he'll come back soon. So listen, hopefully Night 2 is better. It'll be a better show, because Night 1 was not. No, it wasn't all that. Like, you could have watched the main event, and once again, that was the best thing out of this whole show. Because even some people will sit there and tell you that this show, Night 1 tonight, it really didn't feel like SummerSlam. I know I've already repeated myself already, but a lot of these matches could have been on Raw or SmackDown, or maybe some special on TV to some extent. Because a lot of them did not really feel pay-per-view worthy. And it just looked like a lot of stuff was probably just added to the card just because, and they saved the better stuff for Night 2. But if it's one match I do recommend going to watch, and everything that happened from the match itself and the cash-in was the main event. That's the best thing I would tell anybody to go look at if, you want to watch. If I would tell you to watch SummerSlam Night 1. Watch the main event. That was the best thing of the show. But other than that, we will be back for a Night 2 review. Maybe we'll have a guest on. I don't know. But just wanted to get the SummerSlam Night 1 review out the way right now. So, later on tonight, Night 2, we'll see what happens then. So I'm out of here. I'll see y'all guys later. Peace. Comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at HoodedKnight890. So, yeah, we out from here. Peace.